Okay.
Attention, please.
Yo. 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 Yo.
Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Thursday, December 4th, 2025. I'm Astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. That was weird. Glitches in a full moon in Gemini. Hope everybody's doing wonderful out there. Thanks so much for being a part of highvibe.tv. If you're not, make sure that you join us on highvibe.tv. Of course, for all the awesome shows, we're truly here for you in these radical times. Quite the times. I'm super happy. I'm always here for the new and full moons. And of course, we do history and the stars here on my YouTube, but everything else is at highvibe.tv. Now, we're in quite the full moon energy. And I'm sure you probably like the thumbnail that I had picked out. There we go. Now we got it. Quite a clowny time to be around with all these crazy mutable energies right now. And this full moon in Gemini, while Neptune is stopping all week in Pisces at 29 degrees, Saturn just stationed direct a week ago on Thanksgiving with the North Node. And we've got Mars. We got a lot of things that are about to square Saturn and Neptune. So welcome to the last clown show that we've all been living through. Like, if you think about all this sad stuff and this full moon that square the nodes, but also the approaching big squares to Mars, from Mars to Saturn, and then of course Mars to Neptune, and then the Sun and Venus trailing behind to make those squares. This is the big last mutable big test, I would say, because we're not going to be in a lot of mutable energy in the years and years ahead. I do want to do some quick just promo stuff. This is what keeps us alive, of course. I have my big event tomorrow, Prophecy Knocking, the last call. I am going to be covering these final transits, especially the big Sun, Venus, Mars, Cazimi that we're going to see the first week of January into the second week, and the Sun Pluto conjunction in opposition to 3i Atlas. What 3i Atlas and the connection to Jupiter is, which I predicted all the way back at the end of July. Also, what is the big secret? And I know that I am crossing into some public theater stuff, but how is the Epstein situation and everything else we're seeing actually connected with Baal and Jupiter? If you really want to uncover some deep truth, this will be tomorrow for $25 on highvibe.tv. If you're on highvibe.tv, you just literally go to the website, you click on shows, and you'll see it as, I'm not logged in, so you can be anywhere. And so Prophecy Knocking, that's tomorrow to join. You just purchase once. And even if you want to do Afterpay or Klarna and make 4 interest-free payments of $6.25, you can do that. And you get the recording forever. And of course, you can join me live and ask questions, 3 p.m. Pacific on High Vibe TV. Also, I've just launched Past Life Labs to get your full, it's like having a past life regressionist report, and you can get it for free. So you can begin your reading for free. Go to pastlifelabs.com and put in your info and get your full free reading. And you can ask 2 questions. And then if you want the premium version for a full printout of 25 pages that will go through your past lives and connect your astrology and many other things that was trained all by me, you can do that. It's super awesome. If you want to know how it works, of course, you can just go to pastlifelabs.com. Super exciting. Lots of people are really happy about it and loving it. But of course, the big one, Hypergate AI, of course, all the new agenic stuff was updated, but we also added the agenic human design. I did a full going over to demonstrate it last week here on YouTube. People are loving it. we've increased server capacities and we are blowing up. We are the astrology AI, the only one that actually works and actually predicts and connects everything else, and is also an astrology tool and with all the awesome features. So wanted to plug those things in. Now this full moon Gemini energy, and by the way, there's so many other things. Dylan and I are going to be doing a special in person at the beginning of January. We're going to have another show in the next week. Conscious Life Expo. It's been 11 years since I had a booth there. We'll be live streaming. I'm looking for people who really are spiritually conscious and really want to help awake. I'm going to be having my cameras there. And if you want an interview and you do spirituality, I'll be putting out a form to submit if you want to be interviewed at Conscious Life Expo, because we'll be there the whole entire time. Plus I'm doing my own lecture on Sunday at 4 p.m. And then I'm doing the Astrology Symposium, which is on Monday with me and Rick Levine and a bunch of other people. It's all at consciouslifeexpo.com. And then, of course, I'm back out in Sedona in May with Team Light for another awesome event. And so there's a lot going on. But when we think about this horoscope, I got to say, I know it might seem kind of clowny, crazy, as I've been saying, and that's because it really is. This full moon happening at 13 degrees here of Gemini, and with the sun at 13 degrees of Sag, with the nodes exactly at 13 Pisces and Virgo. So this creates that mutable cross, right? I don't, of course, show an opposition for nodes, but there you go. I've just drawn it out. Now, of course, there is this, I'm calling it a loose grand trine. We've already seen Jupiter retrograde here at 24 degrees now. It's come off the almost approaching trine to Saturn. It never did trine Saturn completely because that's going to happen in fire signs, but we're already seeing that break apart by a degree. And then Mercury here that came out of retrograde on Saturday, it's only moved a couple degrees and it's not in that energy, and it's not going to be it'll be a grand trine, but it won't be the full one. So it's almost like we're feeling boxed in the craziness, but our mind is trying to understand, and there's so many emotions going on. And then you had a full moon, you had Jupiter that's retrograde, exalted, of course, in Cancer, but of course, it's retrograde. And so it's Jupiter. There could be way too much emotion going on. And especially in Gemini, in the mind, we don't have Uranus and Gemini anymore. It's back in Taurus, and it's done with the exact sextile that we had with Neptune, and it's not trining Pluto anymore. And it's back to the Pluto-Uranus square energies by sign. And this is what I've talked about for quite a long time, that as we came to the end of fall and to winter would be the craziest, is this is where things are shutting down. Things that are not going to work out in our lives aren't spiritual. And so this is where your consciousness is being tested at its highest. This whole thing is really gathered around this stellium of the North Node, Saturn, and Neptune, because, of course, even though the full moon's not squaring those yet with the sun, but we have Mars already beginning the square to Saturn. This is a very important time for us to not be so self-critical, critical to others, and be especially having high expectations of things. We have to learn to communicate better. It is foggy. It is sensitive. And in many ways, it could even feel psychologically crazy, but it's important for us to find some sort of grounding somewhere. The problem is all this Sag energy with Jupiter being in Cancer, and because these planets are in Sag and Jupiter deposits all that energy and it's in Cancer, it's this emotional rush to believe, and even when it's not maybe factual, or it's not true, or it's not spiritually in alignment with an easy flow, people are wanting to go and create a rampant belief system and try to get out of anything. And especially, this is Neptune at 29 degrees of Pisces, and we're seeing the station. So Neptune is only doing 11 seconds a day. We see Neptune come direct next week. All right, it's going to be happening on December 10th, less than a week away. And the period of the week prior to a retrograde stationing direct or direct stationing retrograde, you feel it. And this is Neptune, and it's at the energetic degree. And this is the last Neptune retrograde. And this is also the last Neptune retrograde in Pisces that's going to have big aspects in mutable squaring it. And so this is Where it does become where it feels the most lost, and I think it's about taking this delicately in your life, finding compassion, being as easygoing as you can, and stop stressing yourself out. If we even think about Mercury, which disposits, of course, over to Virgo and Gemini, and we see the moon in Gemini squaring the south node in Virgo. So that Mercury grand trine is a flow, but it's a flow of almost trying to, again, maybe even say, oh, I think I understand everything here and I know what's going on with all that stuff in Sag, when it's like, hey, we need to be open to all perspectives right now. We need to make sure that we're grounded emotionally in facts. And with Mars also in trine at the same time right now to Chiron, it's kind of weird because, you know, even though trines are positive aspects, it just means they're flowing. And what could be flowing is this very non-aware ego that really wholeheartedly believes in some sort of belief that's trying to use the ego and its wounds to make it feel better and to say, no, this is the way I need to do things. This is the way I need to go. That Mars is getting ready to score Saturn. It's a big stop sign, and it's one where Mars has to actually listen and hold itself together when it comes to subconscious and unconscious energies, self-undoing, and all these aspects that really can self-implode. Pisces is about natural things that will dissolve by the universe, not by you. You are not the red button pusher. If you're trying to push the red button, I'm done with this in my life, I'm over it. That's your issue. If it's going to naturally flow out, it will naturally flow out. But the second you attach your ego to this, are you thinking about the repercussions all around? Are you thinking about what the universe wants? Or do you think you know better than the universe? This is the transit where I think a lot of the collective has gone to very spiritual ways for those that don't put themselves in front of the universe. But then the other half has been where, no, I know better than the universe. I know better than God. And the way that you can, the only way through this kind of period that we're at right now, and it's very inflamed because we're at this full moon moment. And actually, I've been saying on High Vibe that this looks like the tidal wave. But really, Sunday into Monday, when that Mars squares Saturn, when we start seeing that Sun and Venus start to come into that squares as well, that's the moment that the tidal wave gets bigger. So there's warning signs right now. This is the yellow flag warnings of where, how do I find the best spiritual path forward? How do I find my empathy? How do I find my compassion? How do I allow myself to follow the flow and where God's wanting to go? And that's the only safe place there is. And when I say are you doing your spiritual work? I mean, like, quite literally. Are you actually paying attention? Or are you just flying through things and just like creating this kind of like combustible moment here where you're just like, oh no, I know what's best and I'm going to do this. And you're just running through and you're just trying to slap things together, which is very sloppy and very Pisces on the dark side of Pisces, right? Just not seeing the wider view here, not seeing the eternal view, and only looking at your own version of things and not compare and contrast, right? This is not black or white. This is very much, there's a lot of pieces. And the problem with Neptune being stationed and stationing through this week and stopping is extreme illusions, extreme delusional thinking, belief systems, or even creating narratives and stories that aren't in alignment with the universe. You know, the sun and the moon, they are the ones that the nodes serve, and they are squaring the nodes. So this is the exact halfway point between eclipses. But when you get the full moon in exact square to the nodes at this halfway point, it's literally halfway. And it's literally one where there's a little bit of a nod, like, okay, we're halfway through to those next eclipses. And those next eclipses are going to come as we are ending this long-term 6,400-year story, because Saturn and Neptune are about to come together on February 20th. But we have massive big events coming to end. I mean, even the Sun-Pluto conjunction that's in January comes with 3i Atlas in direct opposition as it's heading towards coming into Jupiter's actual orbit, right? I mean, it's going to be pretty wild as we're going to be watching that. But I think that this is a moment right now where you being on your high horse, I actually I'll just show people. So I did this as Deep Astrology this week, this moment where your quest and you think you're right runs into, oh shit, I wasn't spiritually paying attention. And here's all those fucking, and you know, Pisces rules hidden enemies, right? Like you were not seeing all those enemies on the other side of the hill because you were so lost in your belief system, or you were so kind of caught up into everything and letting everything get to you, and then being lost in the South Node in Virgo with Mercury that's in Scorpio, and just being so meticulous on what it exactly has to look like this. And if it doesn't, oh my God, and freaking the hell out. Relax. But this is a moment for all of us to stop, not to rush. We just had two planets that came direct, right? We're ready for Neptune next week. So it's starting to move forward. But that doesn't mean that it's like jump off a cliff and think that's the best thing in my life. No. No. The other thing that's happening in the very, 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 very big background, helio-wise, which is very interesting, is helio-wise, we're at a moment where Saturn and Neptune are about to meet next week. So the conjunction helio-wise is about to happen. At the same time, Mars in square as well. We are going to see Mars square Saturn geo, but also Mars square Saturn helio, and this will be to that Saturn-Neptune conjunction. We also see Uranus almost out of Taurus. You know, we're ready to see it come into Gemini helio-wise. Everything's at a turning point. And this is I don't even want to use the term test, but I kind of feel like that's the only thing. Like, this is the greatest spiritual test of your life. Are you going to fuck everything up before the great shift? Because we're not going to get next week Neptune stations direct. This is the last full moon, right, in Gemini, and the last one with big aspects with a Neptune retrograde ever in Pisces again. And Neptune rules over Pisces. We also have in the background, helio-wise, the universe is already set up. Pluto's been in Aquarius. We've already seen Saturn and Neptune move into Aries. Here's Uranus getting ready to come in as well. Here's the Saturn-Neptune conjunction about to happen. Here's Mars in square to Saturn-Neptune. So from as above, so below, both are saying, stop. Are you sure about what you're doing in your direction? In your planning here? Is your plan well thought out? Is this what you want to really embody from a helio? And is this the Dharma you're going to do? And then if you think about back to the full moon, it's like, are you in Carneyville? Are you on drugs? Or are you psychotic? Or what's the issue here for you to just start being like, no, yeah, this is what I'm going to be, or this is what I'm going to do. And you haven't even thought it out, and you're doing it with a huge, huge, huge fog in front of you. Like, oh, I'll just pick up the pieces on the other side. There's going to be no pieces to pick up because we've got to bring the highest, goodest, best things in our life through this period. You just can't just implode and escape. And that's where the fear is here, is the escapism, right? Pisces rules escape and self-undoing. And this Sag energy, the shadow of it, it doesn't want to see that. It just wants to believe what it wants to believe. It just is like, no, this is what's positive. And it's like, I remember when I used to do drugs, it was like, what do you mean? Why quit drugs? They're fucking great. Like, you know what I mean? It's like that, where people are just like, yeah, I'm just going to do this. But most people are not even also realizing there's a hidden component to this. As this full moon's happening, the sun's starting to move into semi-square to Pluto in approach, and assessi quadrant to Pluto from the full moon. So Pluto's involved here in the approach, this buildup. And so then when you think about it in Aquarius, that's the escape hatch. Escapism is like, I'm already gone on another universe. Bye-bye. I'm already checked out, fully out. I don't want to go through this. I'm avoidant. Aquarius, Pluto, is avoidant, but emergency hatch, I'm out of here, motherfuckers. Bye-bye. Emergency exit. I don't want to connect. Right? And this is where, if you think about, this is the last Neptune retrograde in Pisces, and it's at the end. Here's the full moon amplifying it. The shit's at its highest. And how we all deal with that is we know the more we try to do with Mars beginning to square Saturn, the worse it'll be. It's about how do you let just go and let's get back to some sort of clarity before we just jump on. Because what happens when the walls start feeling like they close in? I love the way that this, mutable cross really like kind of reflects this box that we're really stuck in here. But you're not stuck. It's just watching the mutation. That's what mutable energy is. That's happening in the universe right now. You can see it in the helio. You can see it in the fucking geo. Like we're in a massive moment. And if you just even are looking at this Sun, Venus, Mars, in a month, they're all coming together to Cazimi at the same time. Oh, by the way, with 3A Atlas exactly opposing them? Okay. With Jupiter in exact opposition? There's so much to come. There's many levels to this ending before we really step into the new world. And you have to look at it like that. There are so many levels. So if you're going to try and implode everything at once, it's almost like this could be where it's like this idea of nuking everything. Like, I'm just going to nuke everything in my life. And that'll feel better because I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to have to like face sensitive issues. Communication is a huge one. And this Mercury's in Scorpio. It retrograded many times already over Uranus, once in Gemini and once in Taurus. One more time here, it will oppose Uranus, but in Taurus again. And this is where, the beginning of this year was about watching these outer planets, especially all coming into these new signs and start to align. And we saw through the spring and especially the summer, like, wow, they're in alignment. And Saturn was involved. Now everything's broken apart. This is the first full moon where everything's broken apart. Go look at every full moon since March. Especially May when Uranus ingressed into, July when Uranus ingressed into Gemini, but mainly like May, because that's when Saturn came into Aries, right? It was like Saturn was with Neptune. Neptune came in at the end of March. Pluto was already in Aquarius since November of 2024. And it was like, wow, we're getting some really amazing aspects here. And then July, Uranus is here, and the trine to Pluto beginning, and the sextile to Neptune and Saturn. Now you're seeing, everything's in cahoots. Uranus ain't trining Pluto right now. Nope, and that sextile's separating. And it's not within a degree anymore, right? Like it's moving away from that. It's like everything's like, what happened? Even Saturn, Neptune are split apart. The farthest they've been for most this year, since the beginning. We saw them come within less than a degree of conjunction and they didn't. So if you really re-examine, this is the full moon of re-examine what the fuck you're doing. Don't rush things. Don't force things. Don't push the red button yourself. Let the universe flow those things and make sure you're seeing things from a higher spiritual perspective and not getting lost in your wounded ego. That Chiron retrograde still. And Mars trining it. All right, let's take a look at the cards. And then we will be live, Natalie and I, for full disclosure right now on High Vibe TV. So let's see what we got here. It's some pretty intense astrology. And remember, you heard it here. The tidal wave comes by Monday. So if you're going to keep pushing the red button, that tidal wave is going to be bigger than you could handle by Monday. And you will be like, why did I do this? And then, you know, people think by not doing things, there's regret. There's worse regrets about the actions we do take. That's actually how it is, whether it's an inaction or an action. But this is where the actions you take could cause the greatest, just complete, like, what the fuck did I do moment of all time. When Neptune stations direct next week with Mars squaring it, then the sun's going to come square Saturn and Neptune in Pisces for the last time. All because you told yourself a story and didn't verify it, didn't use Pluto and Aquarius to make sure that that's verified from all these other sources and people, and really fell into your own illusion and sensitivity. And especially for people who are very like Virgo vibes or sixth house or anything, like this is not, nothing is running on time. The universe's trains aren't running on schedule. Nothing is. Nothing is operating normal. It's more like a carnival. It's not Pisces. It's like you're just going to have to wait till the carny gets out of the bathroom and he's taking a big shit right now and he'll take your ticket. Just hold on a second. And yeah, maybe a screw comes loose and the fucking ride does blow up. But we all take that chance and trust the universe. That's a carnival. It's not some smooth oiled machine right now. And that's where people are going to just be in so much fucking stress. Make sure that you're part of my event tomorrow, Prophecy Knocking. And of course, you can check out hypergate.ai to have the best fucking AI there is out there, especially with all the agentic AI with astrology, human design, so many other things. And then, of course, pastlifelabs.com. All right, what do we got here? Page of Swords reversed. Ew. Yeah, this is the issue, right? Like not seeing things clearly at all. And almost in many ways, you're not in truth. Like you're going to have to be like, if you're going to double down on truth right now, it better fucking be real. It better be truth. You can't just be like, yeah, no, this is what's actually true when it's really not, right? We don't want to deceive ourselves. It's the worst we could do. 5 of Swords reversed. Don't push so fucking hard. That's what this says. Stop pushing so hard. Stop pushing for things. It's causing to where everybody's looking around like, okay, if you want to be that motherfucker that just pushes everything, we're just walking away. This reverse is saying, don't do that. Don't you want people to approach and be around instead of you being the one who's like the little kid just forcing yourself into everything because you believe so? Sounds like a pope or a crazy ass motherfucker to me. I appreciate you all very much. Join Natalie and I right now for full disclosure. Of course, lots of stuff. My special events tomorrow on High Vibe. You don't have to be a member of High Vibe. You can just purchase and still get access to the community and get access to just that video and watch on our apps and always be on the apps and so forth. Highvibe.tv for Prophecy Knocking. I appreciate you all so much. Thanks so much. And thanks for all the love. Take care.
Okay.
Attention, please.